This is that fancy kind of game. I'm saving it. That cinnamon roll thing.
Do you like it?
Like a Cinnabon, just without the icing.
Really?
Yeah.
So is that your first coffee here for the day?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you cutting back on me?
So I'm wearing the mask and trying to drink it. It's all hot, humid.
Yes,
in my face.
the moisture that builds up, it's really disgusting. So is it recording?
Yeah, I hit the button.
Do you want to start off talking about Doug's Newberry Report or doorstopper of a book?
We said we were going to get to page 300 or so, and then we backtracked to 200.
191.
And I didn't get anywhere near one. I got to 119.
I didn't use this book, so let me see. I'm reading it on my iPad.
Oh yeah, that's probably better. Reading this one in the Doug's book, I've been having put a pillow in my lap so I can this one too. I feel like I'm focusing extra hard because the names and stuff. No one has a name. It's all titles. They look like names. Genji isn't a name. It's a title. Someone who was born into nobility but is a commoner.
That's right. I only got to page 45.
But that's okay because next time we discuss it, I don't know. I know what the next chapter is, and it takes a turn. Some Lolita vibes. Yeah, you'll see.
Do you know what this book reminds me of?
Huh.
The Arabian Nights.
I
I thought, oh my gosh, here we are again.
At least the little poems in here, they situationally make sense.
Yeah.
As opposed to just couplet after couplet.
And then the footnotes, but then the footnotes aren't as long either.
Well, he's actually describing information that you need to know for the story and not just going on some Burton-style rant.
It does seem more relevant to the story. Yeah, I just got a lot of Arabian Nights vibe.
Right. I thought it was interesting, too, that the author isn't actually a person. It's the character and where they're from or something like that.
Yes.
So they actually don't even know who wrote this.
But they do know that it was a woman?
That's what they think, because of the style or something. I guess it's something from the original Japanese.
I was able to remember more of the Arabian Nights. I don't know what it is about this particular story. I'm really having to focus a lot more. And it just seems, in some ways, more difficult to follow for me. I don't know why.
Right. Well, I think, too, it's picking up the new rhythm of it, Doug's Newberry Report, which is very modern and very modernist. And then trying to switch gears into something that's told in an older style. Because I think he tries to stay very faithful. If you could read Japanese, it's probably trying to. I like how he put these little touches where he gives you all the characters' names and the relationship to the previous chapter. Because they're a bunch of they're almost like short stories. They don't necessarily connect except for the characters. Mm-hmm. So we'll see.
Yeah?
You said 47?
Mm-hmm.
So I randomly opened to 46, but I can shoot for 47.
All right, I mean,
it's 47.
I guess we can sort of play it.
You know what? Let's do it. Let's go big. 47.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah.
Well, we say that now.
I was gonna throw out that I also liked how the way that it's broken down the chapters, and he describes the chapter title with the actual Japanese word and how it actually fits, how it pertains to the story or that particular chapter. Like I said, I think he's holding your hand. Remember that list I found that was start your year off with the hardest books, and it had this one and Doug's Newberry Report on the same list. It was 5 books long. Mr. Tyler here is really holding our hands. So.
Yeah, I think that's why I went with this translation, but the illustrations.
Yeah, I think you played it smarter by doing the ebook version than trying to hold the thing.
I thought, oh no. Okay. So I think
get a couple more chapters in, and you're gonna see even more. Remember how Arabian Nights got kind of weird,
Weird in a lewd way?
Yeah, like
really?
a weird. It's creepy. Like I know, like maybe in the time period. Well, even the characters in the book are saying it's creepy. The one chapter you're about to be on, where something with a modern eye, it's kind of funny. I'm not gonna say what happens, but what happens and what the world, the narrative is saying versus what, like, as a modern reader you can look into it. It's funny, and then it keeps going, and then it just gets. You'll see.
Is it creepier?
Yeah, it's not a subtle thing that this. It's like a big. You'll see.
Okay, I'm so glad that you are willing to read all of these crazy books with me because all of my other friends won't. Just thought that it was just superbly written.
Right.
It's definitely one of my all-time favorite books. I don't know if I find it remarkable because it's like nothing I have ever read, or if it's because, do you know how you tend to like a book more if a character resonates with you? So she resonates with me. How she describes motherhood, her self-deprecating, not humor, but just she's self-deprecating, she's shy, she's awkward, and that's sort of me.
Right.
Never really thought that I would like anything like that, but it really flowed for me.
Right.
I do have to admit, though, that didn't you find more so towards the end, the facts got very grim.
Right. But it was always, like, depending on her mood and stuff, and if you're in a bad mood, you're not going to think happy thoughts. I mean, I wasn't saying she's in a bad mood, but, like, based on the situations that went on, it fit her mindset. At one point, she was naming some stuff, and she was like, I just Googled it. Like, the headlines in it, I like that. Or how she talked about old movies and Harrison Ford movies.
Yeah.
And like,
the other thing is, I think I love facts, irrelevant to begin with, but I'm just a junkie for it. I was also blown away by Frank Lloyd Wright and his mistress. Did you know about that? When she brought up his mistress and how she and her children were hacked by the hired cook, I thought, this can't be real, and I looked it up, and it's true.
I think the only thing that really wasn't real was the college, the Paola.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a real. Other than that, it's pretty spot on about things.
Oh, what did you think about how she, the story that she wove about the lioness and her cub?
I was wondering where that was going. I liked how she put them in there in a thematic way, but didn't have them like cross paths so much. But I like how she sprinkled in Jack the dog. Everything that took place was set up in some sort of way. You just didn't realize it because she was talking about how, like, as soon as you let this dog in, he wants to go back outside.
Would you consider this a quest story? I mean, I sort of think it is. The lioness was on a quest to find her cubs. Oh, and I was actually so sad when her cubs got taken away.
But it was funny. I thought they were introducing the cubs to the mother, but it was like...
Yeah.
So did you catch yourself... I did. Catch yourself going all the time, the fact that, as you're doing stuff, and just say the fact that over and over. Apparently that's what started this whole book. She liked the phrase.
Really?
And then she just went off with it. Yeah.
Do you think she had a quest to understand herself and her role in the family as a mother in general?
I think it's just trying to understand modern society because, like, you have all these, like, anxieties. Can't do anything right in a way. Global warming, but we all still have to drive our cars. Like, where's this balance? And, like, what do you do? Like, what's the... Did you expect it to get so blatantly thrown into the story? Because it was almost like almost like she put it into the universe. So she talks about shooting so much that it almost seemed like it had to.
It was bound to happen.
Yeah, like she was so worried about it that it just.
Is that the wind?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so after all of those facts that she stated about guns and then the deaths from them, I guess I shouldn't have been as surprised as I was when the situation arose, I guess.
Right.
But it still caught me off guard.
Yeah,
Were you surprised?
Yeah, I didn't unexpected. But then all the pieces were already there, and like it's all building up to this like one moment. So like Stacy's reading the martial arts book, and then
the self-defense book.
yeah, the self-defense book, and then the youngest son has his toys all over the place, and like just has apples everywhere. Like it all like
yes, it all came together.
all the facts and statistics. The older son, he would just rattle stuff off.
Ben,
so,
right? Ben.
as she kept saying, there's just too many facts in the world, but yet she kept naming all these facts. I liked it.
So how many stars would you give it?
I give it 5.
Okay, me too. So I looked her up, and she also wrote Dot in the Universe.
I was gonna ask you if you know what that one's about.
Yes, I do. Okay, am I the only one who thinks that Warrior dolls are cute? Mayor says that they look creepy and they freak him
I
out.
don't know what they look like.
All right, so you have to Google them. So there are these small little dolls that you are supposed to tell your worries to, and then put them under your pillow. You know, and I guess it sort of helps to. I don't know. I guess you always feel better when you tell someone else what your problems are. Yeah. Can you imagine? I mean, there would be a pile under my pillow, especially in this day and age, just in light of all that's happening now. But yes, I think they're cute.
Oh, but speaking of Googling, did you Google the slime eels?
Yes, I did.
That was a true one too, with the truck, and they're all over the interstate. Did you find that picture?
No, I didn't.
Oh, well, you have to get down and Google it.
All right.
It's pretty neat. This is a different kind of book too. It's almost like an experimental kind of thing. So either it works or it doesn't. So.
And I never thought that would work. And I never thought that I would enjoy it as much. The fact that I did.
So going from this doozy to this modern Japanese story to pair with our very old Japanese story. So we'll be taking on this one. And there's sentences and paragraph breaks.
But I wonder if the factory will be as strange as the other Japanese stories I have read. They're usually strange, I mean, in a good way, but just...
I think it's supposed to be strange.
Okay. Jesus, it's really blowing out there.
I think it's supposed to be a weird one. So,
okay.
So it'll be interesting to put the
modern with the
old, and it'll be nice to read something that weighs.
First, I'll start off with Slow Motion by Daniel Shapiro. It's a memoir, and I think it's best summed up by its subtitle, which is A Memoir of a Life Rescued by Tragedy.
Okay.
So her life was tail-spinning out of control when she got the call that her parents were in a very bad car accident, and she didn't know if they would live. Yeah, so she was actually, at that time, she was a cocaine-snorting college dropout. She was having an affair with her best friend's stepdad. Her life was basically just, out of control. And have you ever had those moments where, things have gotten so bad, but you don't know how to make them better? I think the accident was her wake-up call. She was really able to reevaluate her life. And I guess tragedy can either wreck you or elevate you. Mm-hmm. And she chose the latter. But this was just inspiring in its own way.
So it was turned out to be a positive.
Yes, I think so. As sad as, I don't want to give any spoilers. So, okay. Let me get my drink for this one. Oh my goodness. Yikes. Ryan, it's not for the faint of heart just because it's difficult read.
Difficult as in content or as the style of writing?
The subject matter. So the parents, Mimi and Dawn, they have 12 children.
Right.
12. 10 boys and 2 girls. So 6 of the boys developed schizophrenia. And, just the horrifying events that evolved from that. But, it nearly... tore the family apart, but the family, they were one of the first to be studied by the National Institute of Mental Health.
Okay.
To try to better understand the nature of schizophrenia. I don't know how their mother lived through all that she did. Well, I think there still is a lot of stigma with mental illness, and this sheds light on a lot of things.
So would recommend or would not recommend?
I think mental illness is something that we all need to understand better, and society tries to just sweep under the rug. But I don't know if I can make a general recommendation for this book, just because it's some parts are very disturbing,
Okay.
and like there's a lot of medical jargon, so you really have to be interested, I guess.
Okay. But you're glad you read it.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, it took. I really had to take a few moments, just because I don't like reading disturbing things, but it's always what I end up reading. I think it's because it's always recommended by either Oprah, or it becomes a bestseller.
Right. I don't know if they find you or you find them, but somehow you always gravitate towards.
I always do. So I do have a question. Did you usually wait for a break to stop reading in Duck's Newberry Report, or like did you just have to stop wherever?
What I would do is I would go to the top of the page and find the fact that, and that's where I would stop. So that way I didn't have to like search the page to find out where I was. So sometimes it was like the first sentence, sometimes it was a couple lines down, but not a lot this time. But
understandably,
a lot of comic books. Familiar Face by Michael DeForge. The style almost looked childish in a way. Nothing matched, but it wasn't supposed to. It was like this futuristic society where everything changes on a whim. Like the road could be different the next day, or you wake up and you look different, and like this character's girlfriend goes missing. Everything changes so quickly, and it was cut in with these little like complaints. I don't know. It was interesting in a surreal kind of way. 99-cent Dreams, and this was actually
that sounds interesting.
It was just a giant book of photographs. It's by Doug Aitken. Like, you know how like a good artist will take something so mundane and like look at it in a new way. That's kind of what this was. It would be like a silhouette of a person, or like a light in a garage. I don't know. I was fascinated by the book, to be honest. Like I would go through it again. It was a year's worth of work. Like I said, it was a doozy of a book.
Mundane pictures?
Yeah, just like
you
like
said?
or like he'd be like sitting in an airport and just take a photograph out the window. So it'd be like a lot of silhouetted stuff around the edges, but then like something clear in the background.
Yeah.
Lights or signs or things you wouldn't normally focus a camera on. The second Bitterroot, which is still probably
the graphic novel?
Yeah, it's probably one of the best books. Illustrations are fantastic. The coloring is fantastic. The story is fantastic.
The ones that are over there now?
Oh yeah.
Really?
I've already looked up when Volume 3 is coming out, and they don't even have it planned, so I'm just kind of waiting. But
I'll have to look through that then.
It focuses on racism, but in a way that the people become these monsters, and the family, they do root work. Well, some of the family try to cure them. Some of them say there's nothing you can do. You got to kill them. But this Volume 2 gets even darker, hate turning into more hate. I like them, but I don't think anyone's checked it out but me. So. Gideon Falls. This is the first volume, and this was like, it's like a mystery. Like this priest goes to a small town, and there's this like evil barn that's not really doing it justice, but that's what it is. The illustrations are real grainy. Illustrations aren't great, but the story is. I didn't think I'd be as into it as I was. Two different stories. He has a therapist, and they're trying to send him back into a mental institution because he goes around trash trying to find pieces of this barn, and somehow that's linked to this priest. Knew this church somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and there's these murders. All it links to this mysterious black barn some sort of way. Mr. Beller inadvertently recommended a book. So
Mr. Beller?
Yeah.
All right, let's hear it. Oh, did you read it?
Yeah.
And?
I liked it.
Oh my gosh, isn't...
That's a pretty wild story.
It's one of those you can't make up stories.
Right.
I mean, it's the horrors of the world, Ryan. How do you even make sense of it all?
That's my brief little month of comic books that I read during lunch.
So, to chapter 46 in The Tale of Genji. Yeah.
I keep